Hey there, everybody. Reed here, conductor at Orchestra Farms. It's just about mid-November. Yep, that's about the time it is. And the farm is settling down. I'm way behind on my putting everything to sleep for the year. But you can see down here that the chickweed is doing pretty amazing, and this pea plant has actually got some nice white flowers on it. Impressive. Some peas actually on the vine. I wonder when they started growing. I should probably know some more information. But keeping a farm gets into a lot of long-term thinking. Like, how long are you going to be here for? How long does it take that mold that's on the tomato there to form? Yeah, fantastic. I want to get into more berries and nuts, and those things take years to start producing crops. Like after planting a line of currants, I think it's been 4 years since they were put in the ground, and this year was the first year that they had some berries on them. What a delight. But a lot of time in life, 2 years, 4 years, that's about the maximum of thinking that a lot of people go for their plans. How many people consider a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan? How many people think in terms of the idea of 7 generations? Look at those beautiful pink flowers. And it's not always easy to have an experience that really conveys the notion of long-term thinking or long-time thinking. If you're super interested in the subject matter, I highly recommend checking out the Long Now Foundation. They have so many fascinating conversations around this. And as I was drinking tea, which is a morning ritual that my wife and I do every day, sometimes the teas that we acquire are from really old trees, like 100-year-old trees. And as we're sitting there and drinking the tea, we contemplate the lifespan of this tree and all the different conditions it's experienced. And the question of, where are we going to be in 100 years? I mean, I could get into my own idea that I'm going to be around for 500, but back on the practical side of things for people, will you still have an influence in 100 years? And if you're watching this right now, obviously you'll have to wait till I put it up to watch it right now. Who knows what that 100-year plan is going to mean? What kind of impact are you having on things, and what is the remnants of all these different actions going to be? Well, I like to find those things that can give me that sense of time and that presence of being with really old things. 100 years is not actually very long in the scheme of things. But being able to have some little moment in your life where you're with something that has been around for a really long time, maybe 100 years, maybe 200, maybe 500 years. Is there somewhere that you can go where you're with things that have been there for 1,000 years? Or maybe the idea is more continue to be there in that 1,000-year framing? What is it like to be on this planet? How do we reframe ourselves to actually consider those outcomes and things? It brings me a great deal of curiosity to look at that. In the 21st century, it appears that we are in what looks to be a century of maybe the most dynamic change that the Earth has witnessed. And that's kind of saying a lot, because seriously, the Earth has seen a lot. If you know about long time and the many evolutions of the planet, you're all too familiar with how that long time frame plays itself out. I think we could use more of that. The election cycle that so many people are used to, you really only have people talking about like 2 and 4 year long projects. And it, frankly, to have lasting impact often takes a lot longer than 2 or 4 years to have that impact take hold. At the same time, if we move the landscape properly, like I don't need to keep more water on this particular property here. I have plenty of water. In fact, a recent picture I took with my drone is so overexposed because of all the reflection from the water in the picture that I don't like the picture at all. And so instead of doing swales here, I'm doing them all perpendicular to the contour. That way the water can move off of the landscape more swiftly. I don't know if you can see this, but there's actually bits of shell in this soil here as I dug it up from the pond that I'm next to. And that shows me that this used to be under the sea. That's pretty exciting. Any Little Mermaid fans out there? Anyway, when having a kid, I think we start to come more into a long-range thinking if we haven't been already. And we might even start thinking about grandkids or maybe even great-grandkids. And then we're starting to get into the idea of long-term thinking. Like, what kind of world are we leaving for those descendants and the other species that are here? It's kind of hard to know sometimes. Well, I got to ponder as all that stuff takes hold and shape what I'm doing. And by having different things, I mean, maybe you like drinking wines or whiskeys or other things that age for a long time to bring out these other flavor tonalities. How can you engage with things that have been around for a lot longer? Maybe go to an old person's home and make some friends with some older people. Go and visit some old growth trees. You know, go and plant a tree and see how long it takes it to bear its fruits or its nuts. Even if they're not considered edible to us, you know, the reality is acorns are definitely edible. And there's a certain joy that comes with growing at that slow pace with things. Well, like these mushrooms, like they're just the fruiting body of a much larger organism that exists within the soil. Anyway, it's raining. I got a bunch more stuff to do, but I wanted to make sure I got this video done so I can get it out to you tomorrow. You guys are great. Remember, you can check out my other things I'm involved with at bendingreeds.com. You could buy my book through there. It'd be great if you liked and subscribed to this channel. Coming up over here to a worm bin I've made. You know, speeding up sometimes the process of time can be helpful. You know, earthworms do a lot of great. These are more like red wigglers. A lot of great to help create more soil from things, our food scraps and such. And by being aware of the long cycles of time, sometimes you can understand how to speed up the process that's happening for the betterment of all beings, or at least the ones in your local area. With that, I hope that you have a long time of fun. You know, don't just let it be in the moment, people. Make sure it lasts your whole life and many lifetimes after you. All the best.